All right, today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's one of a kind, but also something we can all relate to. It's the incredibly dramatic and really personal story of baby Bucky's birth, all happening right in the middle of post-war America.
It's kind of profound when you think about it, right? Every single one of us has an origin story, that first moment. This one? This one is all about a little guy named Bucky.
Okay, so to really get what was going on with Bucky's birth, we have to kind of zoom out first. We need to get a feel for the world he was about to enter. So let's do a little time travel, back to 1954.
So what was 1954 like? Well, it was a time of huge optimism. You had Dwight Eisenhower in the White House, the GIs were finally home from the war, and that includes Bucky's own dad. Technology was just taking off. I mean, half of all homes had a black and white TV. Bucky's family wouldn't get theirs for another 6 years, but still, it was a big deal. And really, the main thing on everyone's mind was building families.
So in the middle of all that hope and all these new beginnings happening across the country, let's zoom in. We're going to focus on just one of those post-war families who just getting their start out in California.
And man, things moved fast back then. I mean, that was pretty typical for the time. Look at this timeline. Bucky's parents get married in 1953. Just 3 months later, his mom, Harriet, finds out she's pregnant. And then, boom, almost exactly 1 year after they said I do, baby Bucky shows up. Talk about a whirlwind start to family life.
So, Bucky was born in Sacramento at a hospital called Sutter Maternity, and the locals had a nickname for it. They called it Sacramento's Baby Hospital. Why? Because that's literally all they did there, day in and day out, deliver babies. But for baby Bucky, well, his arrival was going to be anything but routine.
And this is where everything changes. He was born a deep blue. He wasn't breathing. He was literally being choked, his life hanging in the balance from the very first second he entered the world.
And the crazy thing is, the culprit was the one thing that was supposed to keep him alive. The umbilical cord, that lifeline that delivers blood and oxygen, it was wrapped tight around his neck, basically cutting off his own supply line right at the most crucial moment possible. And this just shows you how much things have changed, right? Today, we think of dads being in the delivery room as totally normal. Sometimes they even cut the cord. But back then, no way. Dads weren't even allowed in the room. So while all this was happening, Bucky's father was stuck outside, completely in the dark. His mom, Harriet, had to face this whole crisis alone with the doctors and nurses.
So the doctors managed the immediate crisis, but the danger wasn't really over. In fact, in a way, the uncertainty was just beginning. That really traumatic birth meant a long, anxious wait for his brand new parents.
And this is how serious it was. Because he'd been starved of oxygen, the doctors kept baby Bucky in the hospital for 2 whole weeks. Can you imagine? 2 weeks of just waiting and watching and wondering what was going to happen to your new baby.
All right, so after 2 long weeks, the day finally came. They could take Bucky home. But just before they left, his mom, Harriet, had one last really important conversation with her doctor. And what he said, well, it was something that would stick with her and really shape her worries for years.
I mean, she had to ask, right? It was the one question that had probably been eating away at her for those whole 2 weeks. Just filled with all the fear and hope that a new mom has, she looked at the doctor and asked, will there be any lasting effects from my baby's brain being starved of oxygen?
And the doctor's response, just listen to this. He says, well, Harriet, you don't know. Wow, he could seem fine for years, and then you could discover that he can't do arithmetic in the 1st grade. Think about that. He didn't give her comfort. He didn't give reassurance. He basically just handed her a huge question mark that would follow them for years. And this was probably not the right thing to say to any new mom, but especially not to Harriet, who was already a bit of a worrier. It just goes to show you the power a doctor's words can have. Instead of helping, he planted this little seed of anxiety that was just left to grow and grow.
So that's how baby Bucky's life began, with this incredible fight to survive and a huge question mark hanging over his future, at least in his mother's mind. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What about our own stories? How do the details of our own births, the chaos or the calm, the worries our parents had, how does all that stuff echo through our lives and play a part in who we are today?